The boy saved an unknown man from a fire and returned home without expecting anything in return. But when the black limousine stopped in front of his house, he couldn't believe what he saw. Tyson woke up to the sun peeking through his old curtains. The 13-year-old boy stretched, his tall frame reaching the end of his small bed. He sat up, rubbing his eyes. The smell of must and old laundry filled his nostrils. Time for another day. Tyson moved quietly through the apartment, careful not to wake his grandmother. He could hear her snoring in the other room. She'd had a late shift and needed to rest. In the small kitchen, Tyson made breakfast. He could do it with his eyes closed. 2 slices of bread, margarine, and cinnamon sugar. It was all they could afford. As the kettle whistled, Tyson's grandmother came into the kitchen, still sleepy. "Morning, baby," she said, kissing his head. "Morning, Nana," Tyson said, pouring her coffee. "Toast is ready." She smiled tiredly, her eyes crinkling. "What would I do without you?" Tyson shrugged, trying to hide the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Probably starve," he joked. Tyson got his school things as his grandmother ate. His backpack was worn out, and his notebooks were made of recycled paper. But it was what he had, and he was determined to make the most of it. Tyson walked to school through their Phoenix neighborhood. It was already hot, and it was going to be another scorching day. Mr. Ramirez, the owner of the corner store, eyed him suspiciously. Tyson kept his head down, used to being distrusted. He wasn't a thief, but people often assumed he was because of his skin color and clothes. Tyson sat down at school just as the bell rang. He felt embarrassed as he looked at his classmates in their new clothes and shoes. His shirt was old and small, and his shoes were held together with tape. He tried to be invisible. The day went on, with one class blending into the next. Tyson tried to focus, but his mind kept going back to the unpaid bills on the kitchen table. How will they pay the rent? What if Nana got sick? In English class, Mrs. Thompson graded their essays. Tyson saw a CI at the top of his paper. He stayed up late working on it, but he didn't have time to do his best work. As the bell rang, Tyson gathered his things slowly. His classmates rushed out, laughing and making plans. For a moment, he imagined what it would be like to join them, to not have to worry about anything. But he had to face reality. He had chores waiting for him at home. The walk back felt long. The pavement glowed with heat, and Tyson's shirt stuck to his back with sweat. He saw a "Help Wanted" sign in the window of the local supermarket. Hope flared in his chest. This could be the answer to their money problems. The age requirement was 16 and up. He walked with his shoulders slumped. Tyson dropped his backpack by the door and went straight to the kitchen. He got ingredients for pasta for dinner. As he stirred the boiling noodles, he thought about money. If he mowed a few more lawns this weekend, they could stretch their groceries. If Nana worked another shift, they might make rent. Tyson felt the weight of it all, making him feel much older than 13. He stirred the pasta, lost in thought. How long could they keep going? Something had to change, but he didn't know how. He had to keep trying for Nana and his future. Tyson drained the pasta and set the table, ready for another evening. The clock on the microwave blinked 9:30 p.m. as Tyson sat at the kitchen table, his math textbook open. The overhead light cast long shadows, and the hum of traffic filtered through the thin walls. He chewed on his pencil, trying to focus on the algebra problems. He jumped when he heard a knock at the door. "Come in," he called. It was Nana. His grandmother appeared at the door. "Still working? Don't stay up too late." Tyson smiled tiredly. "I'm almost done, Nana. I promise." She nodded, her eyes showing pride and worry. "Good boy, Tyson. Don't forget." She smiled and disappeared into the hallway. Tyson went back to his homework, but he couldn't concentrate. He looked at the mail on the table. Bills. One envelope stood out, a bright red notice of late rent. It made him sick. Tyson sighed and took the notice. The message was simple. "Pay up or leave. He closed his eyes and remembered 6 years ago. He could still see his mother's tear-stained face as she hugged him goodbye. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I can't do this anymore." Then she was gone, leaving him with Nana and a heart that never healed. Tyson shook his head and pushed the memories away. He couldn't think about the past. He had to focus on the future and find a way out of poverty. He saw a crumpled brochure under his textbook. It was for the local university's medical school. Tyson smoothed out the brochure with gentle hands. The smiling faces of doctors and medical students looked back at him, full of promise. He wanted to become a doctor to help people, but the requirements were too high. High GPAs, perfect test scores, and extracurricular activities seemed out of reach. Tyson was pulled from his thoughts by the sound of keys in the lock. He put the brochure and notice under his textbook as Nana came in, looking tired. "Nana!" Tyson helped her with her heavy bag. "You're home early. Is everything okay?" His grandmother sat down and groaned. "I'm tired. Mrs. Hernandez let me go early. I looked tired." She tried to smile, but Tyson could see her face was in pain. Tyson knelt and started to take her work shoes off. He took off her shoes and started to massage her feet, just as she had taught him. "Oh, that feels good," Nana said, leaning back. "You've got healing hands, Tyson." "Just like your granddaddy did." Tyson worked in silence. He needed to make more money to help Nana. Maybe he could do more odd jobs in the neighborhood. Mr. Johnson needed help with his garden. Mrs. Ramirez at the corner store might need someone to stock shelves after school. "What's on your mind?" Nana spoke softly. "You look worried." Tyson hesitated, not wanting to worry her, but he felt the weight of the situation. "I was thinking about money, Nana. How we can make things better." His grandmother's face showed sadness and understanding. "Oh, Tyson, you shouldn't worry about this. You're just a boy." "I'm not just a boy," Tyson said firmly. "I'm the man of the house." "I'll help." Nana leaned forward and cupped his face in her hands. "Listen to me, Tyson Jackson. You're a great kid. Your job is to be a kid, to learn, grow, and dream. It'll come in time." Tyson nodded. He wanted to believe her and stop worrying, but the situation was real. Nana continued, "I know things are tough right now, but we've got each other. We'll figure it out." "We always do." Tyson smiled, feeling stronger because of his grandmother's faith. "You're right, Nana. We'll figure it out." That night, Tyson lay in bed, thinking about what his grandmother said. Dream big. But how could he dream when reality pulled him back? He turned and looked at the desk in the corner of his room. In the dim light, he could see the edge of the medical school brochure under his school books. Tyson got out of bed and went to the desk. He took the brochure and smoothed it out. He imagined wearing the white coat, helping people and making Nana proud. It wouldn't be easy. Nothing in his life had ever been easy. But as he climbed back into bed, the brochure tucked under his pillow, Tyson felt hope. If he worked hard and never gave up, he could make his dream come true. As he fell asleep, Tyson thought about the future he was going to build. Tyson woke up in the middle of the night to coughing. He sat up, heart racing, listening to his grandmother's breathing through the walls. The digital clock on his nightstand read 2:37 a.m. Tyson got out of bed, barefoot on the old carpet. He went to his grandmother's room and opened the door. "Nana," he whispered. The coughing stopped, and his grandmother said, "I'm okay, baby." A tickle in my throat. Tyson wasn't sure. He heard her wheeze and the effort it took to speak. "Need water? Need your inhaler?" "No," she said. "Go back to bed. You have school in the morning." Tyson went back to his room. He lay awake, listening for his grandmother. When he finally slept, it was fitful and he had bad dreams. The alarm woke him too early. Tyson got out of bed, tired. He made breakfast and packed lunches on autopilot. His grandmother seemed better, but he was still worried. At school, Tyson struggled to stay awake. The teacher's voice in his first period class seemed far away, the words blurring together. He woke up when a classmate nudged him. He realized he'd been asked a question. "I'm sorry. Repeat that." Tyson mumbled, feeling embarrassed. The teacher was concerned and disappointed. "See me after class." The rest of the morning was a blur. During lunch, Tyson sat alone at his usual table, eating a peanut butter sandwich. The cafeteria was busy. He watched his classmates laugh and chat, many of them on their phones. Tyson's hand went to his pocket, feeling the old flip phone Nana had given him. He felt its absence most keenly in moments like these, when a screen seemed the price of social interaction. As he was about to eat his sandwich, he saw a shadow on his table. Tyson looked up and saw Mr. Reeves, his science teacher, standing there. "Everything okay, Tyson?" Mr. Reeves asked in a low voice. "You seemed out of it in class." Tyson stood up and smiled. "Yes, sir. I'm fine. I'm just tired." Mr. Reeves looked at him, frowning. "You can talk to me if you need to." "Thank you, sir," Tyson said. "I appreciate that." As Mr. Reeves walked away, Tyson felt guilty for lying. But what could he say? Worrying about his grandmother's health all night, he was stressed about money and their living situation. It was better to keep these things to himself. He had to be strong for Nana. The bell rang. As his classmates left, Tyson went the other way. His after-school job at the local grocery store paid the bills. Tyson bagged groceries, collected carts, and helped customers load their cars for the next 3 hours. The work was boring, but he worked hard. Every dollar he earned helped keep a roof over their heads, food on the table, or medicine for Nana. By the time he finished work, the sun was setting. Tyson's feet and back hurt, but he felt good about getting things done. He made it through another day, earned money, and was closer to his goals. The walk home seemed long and difficult. Tyson walked with a new sense of purpose as he approached their apartment building. He didn't want Nana to see how tired he was. She had enough to worry about without worrying about him. Tyson climbed the stairs to their third-floor apartment and promised himself he'd keep going. No matter what, he would keep going. For Nana, for their future, and for becoming Dr. Tyson Jackson. On Saturday morning, the sun rose bright and clear, promising another scorching day. Tyson was up early as usual, but today felt different. The air felt light and full of possibilities. Tyson made sure Nana had everything she needed and left for the neighborhood. He went to Mr. Guzman's house, an old neighbor who lived nearby. Mr. Guzman had trouble shopping because of arthritis, so Tyson helped him when he could. "Ah, Tyson!" Mr. Guzman's face lit up as he opened the door. "Right on time. Come in." Tyson stepped into the small apartment, filled with the scent of coffee and old books. Mr. Guzman shuffled to the kitchen table where a shopping list and some bills waited. "Don't argue," Mr. Guzman said, giving Tyson the money. "You're doing me a favor and I'll pay." Tyson knew better than to refuse. For proud men like Mr. Guzman, paying was a way of preserving their dignity. "Thank you," he said, putting the money in his pocket. "I'll be back." The trip to the store was quick. Tyson knew the store well from his after-school job and moved through the aisles easily. He saw candy bars near the register while waiting in line. He wanted some chocolate, which he rarely allowed himself. Tyson reached for one. He deserved it. Back at Mr. Guzman's, Tyson unpacked the groceries and put everything away. As he was leaving, Mr. Guzman gave him some extra money. "For your trouble," the old man said, "get something nice." Tyson stopped protesting when he saw Mr. Guzman's determined look. He just smiled and said, "Thank you, Mr. Guzman." "Thanks." Stepping back into the heat, Tyson felt excited. The extra money made him think of things he'd never considered. Maybe he could get a notebook or treat Nana to ice cream. Tyson's feet took him to the corner store. The bell rang as he entered. and Mrs. Ramirez looked up. "Tyson," she called, "how's your grandmother?" "She's okay, Mrs. Ramirez," Tyson said, going to the cooler at the back of the store. "Working hard." He got a tub of butter pecan ice cream, Nana's favorite, and a candy bar. As Mrs. Ramirez rang up his purchases, Tyson noticed she was different from her husband, who was glaring at him. "Good boy, Tyson," Mrs. Ramirez said, handing him his change. "Taking care of your grandmother. She's lucky to have you." Tyson felt his cheeks warm. "Thank you. I'm the lucky one." The ice cream tub felt like a promise of a good evening. He couldn't wait to surprise Nana with her favorite treat. Tyson walked home down Maple Street, a road with modest but well-kept houses. It was a glimpse into a life that seemed just out of reach. Families with two parents, kids playing in sprinklered lawns, cars in driveways. As Tyson neared the end of the street, he saw something. A crowd was gathering in front of a house. People were pointing and talking. Tyson slowed to see what was going on. He saw wisps of dark smoke curling out from under the eaves of the Peterson house. Mr. Peterson was a friendly old man who often sat on his porch and waved to people. Tyson's heart beat faster as he realized how serious it was. The crowd was still, some with phones out, calling for help, others watching in shock. Tyson pushed his way to the front and looked around. "Has anyone seen Mr. Peterson?" he called out, but no one knew. The smoke was getting thicker, and Tyson could feel the heat from the house. He heard sirens, but they were too far away. He heard a faint cry from inside the house. It was hard to hear over the fire and crowd, but Tyson was sure he'd heard it. Time seemed to slow down as Tyson stood there, the ice cream melting in the Arizona heat. He knew he should wait for the firefighters. It was dangerous, but he knew Mr. Peterson was inside, alone and afraid. Tyson handed the ice cream and candy bar to a startled person. "Hold these," he said. "Tell the firefighters someone's inside." Tyson moved before anyone could stop him. He jumped over the fence into Mr. Peterson's yard, his heart racing. The heat and smoke were intense as he approached the house. Tyson hesitated on the doorstep of the burning house. He thought of Nana and his future. Was he really going to risk it all? But then he heard another cry from inside, and he knew he had to go in. Someone needed help, and he was the only one there. Tyson took a deep breath and pulled his t-shirt up over his nose and mouth and went into the smoke-filled house. As the door closed, Tyson was enveloped in a world of heat, smoke, and terror. He kept going, driven by a newfound determination. His life would never be the same. Tyson stepped into the burning house and was engulfed in chaos. The smoke filled his lungs and he coughed. The heat was intense. He thought about turning back, but Mr. Peterson's cry made him keep going. "Mr. Peterson," Tyson called out, but his voice was barely heard over the flames. "Where are you?" He moved into the house, squinting through the smoke. Mr. Peterson's home was now a maze of shadows and orange light. The living room was on fire. The old man's favorite chair was a silhouette in the flames. Tyson's heart raced as he saw the fire spreading. He had to find Mr. Peterson. He went to the kitchen at the back of the house, avoiding the smoke. Each step was hard against the heat and haze. "Mr. Peterson," he called again, his voice desperate. "Can you hear me?" A cough ahead answered him. Tyson rushed forward, adrenaline pumping through him. He came to the kitchen and saw Mr. Peterson on the floor by the back door. The old man looked up, his eyes wide with recognition and confusion. "Tyson," he wheezed, "what are you doing here?" "I'm here to help you," Tyson said, kneeling beside him. "Let's go." Mr. Peterson nodded and tried to get up. Tyson helped the old man stand. The heat was getting worse, and the house was making a scary creaking noise. Just as they turned towards the back door, a loud crack split the air. Tyson looked up and saw a ceiling section collapse, sending burning debris flying. He threw himself over Mr. Peterson, shielding him with his body. Tyson felt pain in his back as he was burned by embers. He bit back a cry and focused on the task at hand. "We need another way out," he gasped, looking around. The back door was blocked by debris and the kitchen was on fire. They had to go back the way Tyson came in. Tyson carried Mr. Peterson as they walked to the front of the house. Every step was hard. Tyson's lungs hurt and his eyes were wet. Mr. Peterson was getting heavier and his breaths were coming in ragged gasps. "Stay with me," Tyson said, his voice hoarse. "Almost there." As they neared the door, Tyson saw something terrifying. The fire had spread to the living room. The flames licked at the ceiling and walls, cutting off their escape. Tyson froze for a moment, panicking. They were trapped by the fire. The heat was unbearable and he was weak. Was this it? But then, through the flames and pounding heart, Tyson heard something. Sirens. Nearby. Help was here. Tyson tightened his grip on Mr. Peterson. "Hold on, sir," he said. "We're going to make it." Tyson made a final push towards the front door. The flames reached for them, singeing his hair and clothes. The smoke was thick. He could barely see. Just when Tyson thought he couldn't go on, he found the doorknob. He opened the door, and they were outside in the bright Arizona sun. The change was sudden. The fire was replaced by shouts and sirens. People reached out to help and called out. Tyson felt Mr. Peterson being taken from his arms, and then he couldn't stand anymore. As he fell onto the grass, Tyson thought of Nana. He hoped she wouldn't worry. Then, everything went black. Tyson woke up to a heart monitor beeping and the smell of a hospital. He was disoriented, his mind foggy and his body aching. Then, the memories came flooding back. The fire, the rescue, the race against time. He tried to sit up, but someone pushed him back down. "Easy, young man," a kind voice said. "You've been through a lot." Tyson blinked and saw a middle-aged nurse with a warm smile. "Mr. Peterson," he said. His throat hurt from smoke. "Is he okay?" The nurse nodded and smiled. "Thanks to you, he's okay. He's in the ICU, but the doctors think he'll be fine." Tyson felt relief and then anxiety. "My grandmother," he said, sitting up. "She doesn't know where I am. She'll be worried." "It's okay, sweetie," the nurse said. "Your grandmother knows. She's been here all night. I got her coffee a few minutes ago." The door opened, and Nana came in with a styrofoam cup. When she saw Tyson awake, she dropped the coffee. "Oh, my baby," she said, going to his bed. Tyson could see her eyes were red-rimmed and her face was worried. "I'm okay, Nana," Tyson said, taking her hand. "I'm sorry I scared you." Nana held his hand, her touch gentle but firm. "Don't do that again. I thought I'd lost you." The nurse left, and Tyson was alone with his grandmother. They sat in silence for a long moment, feeling the weight of what had happened. Nana finally spoke, her voice soft. "Why did you do it, Tyson? Why did you run into that burning house?" Tyson thought about it, trying to explain why he did it. "I heard Mr. Peterson calling for help," he said. "I couldn't just stand there. I could help." Nana's eyes filled with tears. "You're just like your granddaddy," she said. "Be more careful. You're all I've got left." Tyson felt guilty. "I'm sorry, Nana. I didn't mean to worry you. I had to do something." Nana nodded and squeezed his hand. I know. You were brave. A foolish thing, but brave." The door knocked. A doctor came in with a clipboard. "Good to see you awake, Tyson," he said. "How are you?" "Sore," Tyson said. "My throat hurts." "I'm okay." The doctor nodded and made a note. "That's normal. You have minor burns and smoke inhalation, but it's not serious. You're lucky." As the doctor explained Tyson's condition and treatment, Tyson thought about other things. He thought about Mr. Peterson in the ICU. He thought about the fire. It spread quickly, and they almost didn't make it out. "When can I go home?" Tyson interrupted the doctor. The doctor raised an eyebrow. "You want to leave, don't you?" We'd like to keep you for observation for another 24 hours. You should be able to go home after that." Tyson nodded, looking disappointed. Every hour in the hospital meant less money. Nana squeezed his hand again. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll manage." After the doctor left, a police officer came to talk to Tyson about the fire. Tyson was surprised at how unreal it all seemed. Had he really run into a burning building? Did he really save Mr. Peterson? The officer thanked him for being brave and helping Mr. Peterson. Tyson barely heard the praise. He thought about time passing, bills at home, and shifts he was missing at work. As the day went on, people came and went. Neighbors, teachers, and classmates stopped by to wish him well. Each visit made him feel more overwhelmed. He wasn't used to this attention. By evening, Tyson was tired. Nana went home to rest and would come back in the morning. Tyson lay in the hospital room thinking about the past 24 hours. He thought about the fire and Mr. Peterson's pale, soot-streaked face. He thought about the ceiling collapsing and the flames on his skin. He thought about the moment he chose to act. Tyson felt proud for the first time since the rescue. It was dangerous. He could have been hurt or killed. He saved a life. He made a difference. As he fell asleep, Tyson thought about the future. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he felt stronger. He would face whatever came his way, just as he had faced the fire. With courage, determination, and the strength of knowing you've done the right thing. The next morning, Tyson woke up to machines beeping and nurses talking in the hallway. The room was warm and bright with sunlight. As he woke up, he thought about the past 2 days. The door knocked gently. "Come in," Tyson said, still hoarse from smoke inhalation. Dr. Patel, his doctor, came in. "Good morning, Tyson," she said. "How are you feeling?" Tyson sat up in bed, wincing at the pull of sore muscles. "I think I'm better. My throat hurts, but less than yesterday." Dr. Patel nodded and made a note. "Good. Your airways are getting better. Let's look at the burns." The doctor examined Tyson's burns. He was ready to ask his question. "Dr. Patel, when can I go home?" The doctor paused, thinking. "Your recovery is going well, Tyson. If you keep improving, we might be able to send you home this afternoon. You'll need to take it easy for at least a week," she added. "No strenuous activities and no more heroic rescues." Tyson nodded, thinking about what he would do. A week of rest meant no work, no helping Nana or paying the bills. But before he could worry, there was another knock on the door. A nurse came in, looking serious. "Dr. Patel, ICU needs you." "It's Mr. Peterson." Tyson's heart started racing. "Is he okay?" he asked, worried. Dr. Patel looked at him, her face showing she was both reassuring and guarded. "I'm sure he's fine, Tyson. Don't worry. I'll be back to check on you." The doctor left, leaving Tyson alone with his thoughts. He couldn't get the image of Mr. Peterson's pale, soot-streaked face out of his mind. Was he too late? Had he done nothing? Tyson waited for news, time seeming to crawl. He tried to watch TV, but nothing held his attention. He tensed when he heard footsteps in the hallway, expecting news about Mr. Peterson. Dr. Patel returned at almost noon. Tyson looked at her face, trying to read her expression. "Mr. Peterson is stable," she said, and Tyson felt relieved. "He had a setback this morning, but we've got him stabilized now." "He's been asking to see you," she added with a smile. Tyson was surprised. "He has. Can I see him?" Dr. Patel nodded. "A short visit would be fine. He's still weak, so don't tire him out." Tyson was taken to the ICU. The room was quiet except for monitors beeping and oxygen hissing. Mr. Peterson lay in bed, small and frail. He smiled weakly when he saw Tyson. "There's my hero," Mr. Peterson said. Tyson felt happy at the praise. "I'm glad you're okay, Mr. Peterson." The old man reached out and Tyson took his hand. "You saved me, son. I don't know how I can repay you." Tyson shook his head. You don't need to repay me, sir. I just did what anyone would do. Mr. Peterson's grip tightened. No, not anyone. It takes a special person to save a stranger from a burning building. You're a good person, Tyson. Don't lose that. They talked some more. Mr. Peterson asked about Tyson's injuries. Tyson said he was fine. As the nurse took Tyson back to his room, Mr. Peterson called out, "Tyson," he said, "thank you for everything." Back in his room, Tyson was surprised to find Nana waiting for him. She hugged him gently, mindful of his injuries. "How are you feeling?" she asked, looking at his face. "I'm okay, Nana," Tyson said. "The doctor says I can go home today." Nana nodded, but Tyson could see she was worried. "That's good. Tyson, we need to talk about what happens next." Tyson felt nervous. He knew what was coming: bills, missed work, and how they'd manage. But before Nana could continue, there was another knock at the door. A tall woman in a suit came into the room. She had Mr. Peterson's eyes and smile. "I'm looking for Tyson Jackson. I'm Sarah Peterson, Michael's daughter." Tyson and Nana looked surprised. "I'm Tyson," he said, sitting up. Sarah smiled. "Tyson, thank you for saving my father. You saved his life, and we're forever grateful." As Sarah thanked him, Tyson felt a mix of emotions: pride, embarrassment, and anxiety. He saved a life, but at what cost to his family? Tyson didn't know that his act of bravery would change his life. The moment of truth was over, but its effects were just beginning. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the hospital parking lot as Tyson was pushed towards Nana's old car. The doctor said he could walk, but Nana wanted the wheelchair. She took care of him like a mother hen. "Easy, baby," Nana said as she helped Tyson into the car. "Don't strain yourself." Tyson was frustrated. He appreciated Nana's concern, but he wanted to get home and make up for lost time and wages. As Nana sat in the driver's seat, Tyson thought about numbers. How many extra shifts? Could he find more odd jobs in the neighborhood? The drive home was quiet. As they got out of the car, Tyson saw a crowd outside their building. Neighbors were holding homemade signs and cheering as the car stopped. "What's this?" Tyson asked, confused. Nana smiled, proud. "People know what you did, baby. The whole building came out to welcome you home." As Tyson got out of the car, he was overwhelmed by the support. Mrs. Rodriguez from 2B gave him a dish with foil, saying he needed to keep his strength up. Mr. Chen from across the hall clapped him on the back, after a warning look from Nana, calling him a superhero. Tyson saw a familiar face in the crowd. Sarah Peterson, Mr. Peterson's daughter, was standing at the edge of the crowd, smiling. As the neighbors left, she came over to Tyson and Nana. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by," Sarah said. "I wanted to see you before you settled in. Can we talk?" Nana looked at Tyson, who nodded. "Of course," he said. "Come up to our apartment?" A few minutes later, they were in the living room. Tyson noticed Sarah looking at their worn furniture, water stains on the ceiling, and the shabbiness of their home. He felt embarrassed. Sarah cleared her throat, sensing his discomfort. "Tyson, I want to talk about what you did for my father. Your bravery that day was amazing." Tyson shifted in his seat. "I did what anyone would have done," he mumbled. "No," Sarah said. "Not everyone would have done that. You saved a stranger's life. That's extraordinary." She took a deep breath. "That's why I'm here. My family wants to thank you." Nana leaned forward. "That's kind, but it's not necessary. Tyson did the right thing, not for a reward." Sarah nodded. "I understand. What he did was remarkable. Please hear me out." She turned to Tyson. "We're offering you a scholarship. A full scholarship to any college." The room fell silent. Tyson felt like he'd been punched in the gut. A scholarship? To any college? It seemed too good to be true. "I don't know what to say," Tyson stammered. Sarah smiled. You don't have to say anything. Think about it. We can talk about the details later. This offer is free of strings. We support your dreams no matter what you want to be. As Sarah explained the offer, Tyson felt a range of emotions. Hope, excitement, disbelief, and fear. This was his chance to break the cycle of poverty that had trapped his family for generations. Could he accept such a gift? He looked at Nana, who was crying. She squeezed his hand and nodded. Tyson knew what to do. Ms. Peterson, he said, I don't know how to thank you. This is more than I ever imagined. If you want me to, I'll accept. Sarah smiled and took out some papers. I'm glad to hear that, Tyson. I have some info about the scholarship fund. We can go over it now, or I can leave it for you to review later. As they talked, Tyson felt like he was in a dream. Just days ago, he had been worried about money. Now he was talking about college and scholarships. One act of courage could change everything. Tyson looked around the apartment. Nana was smiling, and Sarah was kind. This was real. He had taken a risk to help someone in need, and now he was being offered a chance to leap towards a brighter future. The sun was setting when Sarah left, promising to contact him soon. As Nana left, she looked at Tyson, her eyes full of tears. Oh, baby, she said, hugging him. I'm proud of you. So proud. Tyson hugged her back, careful of his burns. I couldn't have done any of this without you, Nana, he said, his voice full of emotion. I am who I am because of you. As they stood there, Tyson felt at peace. The road ahead would be hard. There will be challenges and obstacles. He felt hope for the future for the first time in a long time. That night, Tyson thought about the past few days. The fire, the rescue, the scholarship. It was like something out of a movie. But as he fell asleep, he thought, sometimes the best rewards come from helping others. Tyson saved Mr. Peterson's life in the burning house. He saved his future, opening doors he didn't know existed. As he fell asleep, Tyson smiled, knowing he was ready for whatever tomorrow brought. The morning after Sarah Peterson's visit, Tyson felt like things were different. Sunlight filled his bedroom, making it look clean and warm. He lay still for a moment, thinking about the past few days, the fire, the rescue, the scholarship. It was all a dream. He was roused from his thoughts by a knock on the door. Tyson? Nana called softly. Are you awake? Yeah, Nana, he replied, sitting up slowly. I'm up. Nana peeked in, smiling. How are you today? Tyson took a moment to check himself. His body hurt, and his lungs still felt raw, but he felt stronger than in the hospital. I'm okay, he said. I think I'm better. Good, Nana nodded. Someone's here to see you when you're ready. A local news reporter. Tyson was surprised. A reporter? For me? Nana smiled proudly. That's right, baby. Your heroics have made a stir. Don't worry, she said, seeing Tyson look worried. I told her to wait until you've had breakfast. As Nana left to make breakfast, Tyson sat on the edge of his bed, trying to understand what was happening. He never sought attention for his actions. He was excited and scared to be interviewed. After a shower and breakfast, Tyson sat across from Susan Chen. She was petite with a kind smile and sharp eyes. Tyson, Susan began, tell us what you thought when you decided to enter that burning house. Tyson took a deep breath and thought back to that moment. Ms. Chen, I wasn't thinking. I heard Mr. Peterson calling for help, so I went to help. My body moved before my brain could catch up. Susan nodded and took notes. That's brave. Many people would have waited for the professionals. Why did you act? Tyson thought for a moment. I guess, if you can help someone, you should. Nana says we might not have much, but we've got each other. That's what community is about, right? Looking out for each other. The interview lasted almost an hour. Susan asked about the rescue, Tyson's relationship with Mr. Peterson, and his plans. Tyson felt more comfortable as they talked. Susan's questions made him remember things he hadn't realized he knew. As Susan was packing up, she turned to Tyson with a serious expression. "Tyson, your story is rare. In a dark and selfish world, your actions are a beacon of hope. You should be proud." Tyson felt his cheeks warm. "Thank you, Ms. Chen. I hope my story inspires others to help when they can." After Susan left, Tyson felt relieved and nervous. He tried to be honest and humble, but he was nervous about being on TV. People came to the apartment all day. Neighbors brought food and well wishes. Teachers called to check on him, and classmates stopped by to congratulate him. Each interaction overwhelmed Tyson more. By late afternoon, Tyson was tired. The attention was draining. He went to his room to think. Tyson sat on his bed and looked at the medical school brochure he'd hidden under his pillow. He took it out and smoothed the pages. The smiling faces of doctors and students looked back at him. Now they seemed like a real possibility. He was interrupted by a knock on his door. "Tyson?" Nana called. "It's almost time for the news. Do you want to watch?" Tyson took a deep breath. "Yes, Nana. I'll be right out." As they watched Susan Chen tell Tyson's story on their worn couch, he felt a strange mix of emotions: pride, embarrassment, and hope. When the segment ended, Nana looked at him, her eyes full of tears. "Oh, baby," she said, hugging him. "Good job. You did good." Tyson hugged her back, careful of his burns. "Thanks, Nana," he mumbled, his eyes stinging. The TV was now playing a commercial. Tyson realized his life had changed. The boy who entered the burning house was not the same as the boy who left. He faced death, overcame his fears, and came out stronger. The road ahead would be hard. He would have to face challenges and meet expectations. But Tyson looked at Nana and saw pride in her eyes. He knew he could face whatever came next. That night, Tyson thought about the past few days. The fire, the rescue, the scholarship, the interview. It was like something out of a movie. But as he fell asleep, he knew that sometimes the best rewards come from helping others. Tyson saved Mr. Peterson's life in the burning house. He saved his future, opening doors he didn't know existed. As he fell asleep, Tyson smiled, knowing he was ready for whatever tomorrow brought. The next morning, Tyson awoke to a world that seemed both familiar and changed. Sunlight came through his bedroom window, warming the posters and old furniture. He lay still for a moment, thinking about the past few days. As he stretched, he felt a sharp twinge from his burns. This wasn't a dream. He had really run into a burning building, saved Mr. Peterson's life, and been offered a scholarship. Tyson sat up slowly, feeling sore muscles. His body hurt from the ordeal, but he felt something new, something he couldn't name. Pride? Confidence? It felt good. He was interrupted by a knock on his door. "Tyson?" Nana called. "Up, baby?" "Yeah, Nana," he said, still hoarse from smoke. "I'm awake." Nana opened the door, her face showing concern and pride. "How are you this morning?" Tyson took a moment to look at himself. "Sore," he said. "Okay. Better today." Nana nodded, relieved. "Good. Take it easy today. Doctor's orders." As Nana made breakfast, Tyson stood up slowly. He went to the bathroom, looking at himself in the mirror. His reflection surprised him. His eyes had dark circles, and he had burns on his face and neck. But there was something in his eyes, a newfound determination and confidence. After a shower and breakfast, Tyson sat on the couch. He sat down, and there was a knock at the door. Nana opened the door to find Mrs. Rodriguez from 2B holding a foil-covered dish. "Good morning," she said in a warm accent. "I brought Tyson enchiladas. Strong boys are brave boys." Before Tyson could thank her, Mr. Chen from across the hall appeared with a basket of fruit. "For the hero," he said, smiling. "Vitamins help heal. Neighbors came by all morning, giving gifts and praise. Tyson felt overwhelmed by all the attention. He felt a mix of pride and embarrassment at all the compliments and smiles. As the visitors stopped, Tyson saw a black car pull up outside. His heart beat faster when he saw Sarah Peterson. "Nana," he called. "Ms. Peterson is here." Nana tidied the living room, smoothing the old blanket on the couch and straightening the newspapers on the coffee table. Tyson noticed her hands tremble and her worry lines on her forehead. She was as nervous about the scholarship as he was excited. Sarah knocked gently but firmly. Nana opened the door to find Sarah smiling. "Good morning," she said. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all," Nana said, and let her in. "We're grateful for everything you're doing for Tyson." Sarah sat down across from Tyson, her eyes kind. "How are you, Tyson?" "I hope you're not in too much pain." Tyson shook his head. "I'm okay, Ms. Peterson." "A little sore." "How's your dad?" Sarah smiled. "He's better thanks to you. He should be home in a few days. He's been asking about you. He wants to thank you in person when he's better." Sarah pulled out a folder of papers. "I've brought more scholarship info," she said. "I know it's a lot, but I want you to have all the details." Sarah explained the scholarship offered to Tyson and Nana for the next hour. The scholarship was more generous than Tyson could have imagined. It would cover tuition, books, room and board, a living stipend, and even funds for study abroad. As Sarah spoke, Tyson felt a mix of emotions. He was excited about the new opportunities, thankful for the Petersons' generosity. But he also had doubts. Did he deserve this? What if he couldn't do it? Nana squeezed his hand to comfort him. Her touch was comforting, reminding him of her sacrifices. When Sarah stood to leave, she paused, her expression serious. "Tyson," she said, "this scholarship isn't just about repaying a debt. My father and I believe in you. We believe you can do great things. This is an investment in your potential." Tyson nodded, too moved to speak. As he walked Sarah to the door, she turned to him one last time. "Oh, Tyson? My father said you want to be a doctor. If you still want to be a doctor, I can put you in touch with people at the University Medical School. I'll introduce you when you're ready." After Sarah left, Tyson stood in the doorway, trying to process everything. When he turned back, he found Nana crying on the couch. "Nana," he said, worried. "What's wrong?" She smiled at him, tears in her eyes. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's okay. Everything's right." Tyson sat with her, putting his arm around her shoulders. As they sat there, surrounded by gifts and a brighter future, Tyson felt at peace. The road ahead would be hard, but it was possible. That night, Tyson thought about the past few days. The fire, the rescue, the scholarship. It all seemed unreal. But as he fell asleep, he knew one thing. Helping others is the best reward. Tyson saved Mr. Peterson's life in the burning house. He saved his future, opening doors he didn't know existed. As he fell asleep, Tyson smiled, knowing he was ready for whatever tomorrow brought. The following week was a blur for Tyson. As he healed, he was caught up in a whirlwind of activity. The news story about his rescue went viral. Everyone wanted to talk to Tyson, the brave young man who had saved an elderly neighbor. On a sunny Tuesday morning, Tyson's world changed. He was at the kitchen table eating cereal while Nana got ready for her shift at the diner. The phone rang. Nana answered, her voice polite but cautious. "Hello? This is the Jackson residence." There was a pause, and then she widened her eyes. "Yes, he's here." "One moment." She gave Tyson the phone, her face showing excitement and worry. "It's for you." "It's the mayor's office." Tyson choked on his cereal. "The mayor? Why is the mayor calling him?" He took the phone with shaking hands. "Hello? This is Tyson." "Good morning, Tyson," a cheerful voice said. "This is Mayor Thompson. I hope I'm not a bother." "No, sir," Tyson replied, thinking. "Not at all." "Excellent. the mayor said. I'll get to the point. The city council and I have been following your story, Tyson. You did something great. We want to thank you. We'll honor you at the next city council meeting. Would you come and say a few words? Tyson was shocked. Him? Speak at a city council meeting? I don't know what to say, he stammered. The mayor laughed. You don't have to decide now, Tyson. Think about it. Talk to your grandmother. Your actions have inspired many people in this city. Your story is about courage, selflessness, and community spirit. We could use more of those values these days. After a few more minutes of conversation, the mayor said they would help Tyson prepare his speech. The call ended. Tyson sat at the table, the phone still in his hand, trying to understand what had just happened. Nana touched his shoulder, waking him up. What did the mayor want? She asked, sounding concerned. Tyson looked up at her, his eyes wide. They want to honor me at the next city council meeting. They want me to give a speech. Nana was proud. Oh, Tyson, she said. That's great. But Tyson wasn't sure. He was scared of standing up in front of the city council and saying something meaningful. I don't know if I can do it, Nana, he said quietly. What if I mess up? What if I make a fool of myself? Nana pulled out a chair and sat next to him, holding his hands. Listen to me, Tyson Jackson, she said firmly but kindly. You ran into a burning building to save a man. Is giving a speech scarier than that? Tyson laughed. That's a good point. That's right, Nana nodded. You're braver than most people. And you know what? You have something important to say. Your story matters. It could inspire others to be brave and help their neighbors. As Nana spoke, Tyson felt something change. He was still afraid, but he was also determined. Nana was right. Maybe his story could help. Okay, he said, straightening up. I'll do it. Nana smiled at him, her eyes wet. That's my boy, she said. You'll do great. The next few days were busy. Tyson worked with a speechwriter from the mayor's office to prepare his words. He practiced in front of Nana, in front of the mirror, and even in front of Mr. Whiskers, the stray cat that hung around their building. As the city council meeting day approached, Tyson felt nervous and excited. This was new to him. With each practice, he felt more confident. The night before the meeting, Tyson realized something important. This speech wasn't just about him. It was about Nana, who had sacrificed so much to raise him. It was about Mr. Peterson, who had trusted him. It was about their community, which had helped them. He felt calm. Tomorrow, he wouldn't be standing alone. He would stand for them all. As he fell asleep, Tyson thought about the future. He was ready for whatever tomorrow brought. He had already faced fire. What could be scarier? The morning of the city council meeting was bright and clear. Tyson stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the tie of the suit Sarah had bought for him. His face seemed older and more serious. The past few weeks had changed him in ways he didn't understand. Tyson, Nana called from the living room. We need to leave. Ready? Tyson took a deep breath and looked at himself one last time. I'm ready, he said. The ride to City Hall was quiet. Tyson and Nana were lost in their thoughts. As they arrived at the building, Tyson felt nervous. But then he saw Mr. Peterson, looking frail but determined, with his daughter Sarah. Tyson's nerves disappeared, replaced by warmth. This was why he was here. This was what mattered. The council chambers were grand. Seats faced a raised dais where council members sat. Mayor Thompson smiled at Tyson. The meeting started with the usual formalities, but Tyson barely heard them. He was thinking about the speech he had prepared. When Mayor Thompson called on him, Tyson stood like a jellyfish. Tyson saw Nana in the audience as he went to the podium. She nodded and smiled. Tyson began to speak, drawing strength from her presence. Good evening, he said. My name is Tyson Jackson. A few weeks ago, I did something people are calling heroic. I'm not a hero. I was in the right place at the right time and did what anyone would do. As Tyson talked about community and looking out for each other, the room felt different. Council members leaned forward, intent on what he was saying. The audience nodded and murmured approval. "This taught me that we can all make a difference," Tyson said. "You don't need superhuman strength or special powers. It just takes the willingness to help. That's what community is. That's what makes a city great. I'm proud to be part of this. Thank you." The applause was loud. As Tyson returned to his seat, he felt relieved and accomplished. He did it. He faced his fear and came out stronger. The rest of the meeting was a blur. People shook hands, congratulated him, and took photos with the mayor and council members. Tyson remembered Mr. Peterson coming to him, tears in his eyes. "Thank you," the old man said, holding Tyson's hand. "You gave me a second chance." "I'll never forget that." As they left City Hall, Tyson felt like he was flying. The future seemed full of possibility. The next few weeks were busy. Tyson started tutoring, eager to make the most of his scholarship. He studied hard, driven by the desire to live up to the faith that had been placed in him. At school, things were different. Teachers who had ignored him now helped him. Classmates noticed him more. Tyson changed the most. He walked and spoke with more confidence. The shy boy who tried to hide was gone, replaced by a young man who knew his worth. One afternoon, Tyson was studying a biology textbook at the kitchen table when Nana came in from her shift at the diner. She watched him for a moment, smiling. "Your granddaddy would be proud of you," she said. Tyson looked up. Nana rarely talked about his grandfather, who died before Tyson was born. "You think so?" he asked. Nana nodded, eyes misty. "I know. He said you were destined for great things." He was right. Nana cooked dinner while Tyson studied, but he was thinking about the future. He imagined himself in a white coat, helping people like he had helped Mr. Peterson. The future seemed possible. It felt real and within reach. Tyson was determined to grab it. As the sun set, Tyson felt a sense of peace settle over him. The road ahead would be hard. He would have to face challenges and overcome obstacles. He was ready to work hard and become the person he knew he could be. He had already faced fire. What could be scarier? The months after Tyson's heroic act and recognition were full of change and growth. As the seasons changed, Tyson found himself in a world that seemed both familiar and new. The scholarship from the Petersons had opened doors Tyson never imagined. He was now in advanced classes with peers who loved learning. The same textbooks that had once been hard now seemed exciting. On a December morning, Tyson listened to Ms. Rodriguez explain cellular respiration in his AP biology class. His notebook was open with neat notes. Tyson no longer struggled to stay awake in class. He eagerly absorbed information, made connections, and asked questions. As Ms. Rodriguez finished her lecture, she announced something exciting. "The science fair is next month. Showcase your understanding of science and earn a spot in the regional competition." Tyson's mind raced with possibilities. A science fair project could help him pursue his passion for medicine. As the class left, he went to Ms. Rodriguez's desk. "Ms. Rodriguez," he said, sounding a little nervous, "can you help me with ideas for the science fair? I want to do something about emergency medicine because I've been to the fire station." Ms. Rodriguez was excited. "That's a great idea, Tyson. Why don't you stay after school today, and we can talk about some projects?" That afternoon, Tyson and Ms. Rodriguez looked at medical journals and online resources. They decided on a project about different ways to treat smoke inhalation. As Tyson left the school that day, he felt excited and ready for the project. Over the next few weeks, Tyson worked hard on his project. His bedroom became a lab with charts, graphs, and science stuff everywhere. Nana often looked in, proud and amused as she watched her grandson work on his experiment. The night before the science fair, Nana knocked on Tyson's door. "Tyson, baby? Someone to see you." Tyson came out of his room and saw Mr. Peterson in the living room. He looked healthier than the last time Tyson had seen him. "Mr. Peterson," Tyson smiled. "Why are you here?" The old man's eyes twinkled. "I heard about your science project from Sarah. I came by to wish you luck. You don't need it, though." "You're a scientist now." Tyson blushed at the praise. "Thank you. Want to see it?" As Tyson explained his project to Mr. Peterson, he was amazed at how much he had learned. The boy who ran into a burning building had become a confident young man with a clear vision for his future. The science fair day was bright and clear. The judges liked Tyson's project. They liked his research and his presentation. Tyson won first place and an invitation to the regional competition. Tyson saw Nana in the audience holding a blue ribbon and certificate. She cried happy tears as she applauded. Tyson felt grateful for everything she had done for him. Tyson's success at the science fair led to more opportunities. His teachers paid more attention to him and helped him with more work. He was invited to join the school's peer tutoring program, where he helped other students. One afternoon, Tyson was helping a sophomore understand chemical bonding. He had a realization. The patience and empathy he was developing as a tutor would serve him well as a doctor. Each explanation and concept he clarified brought him closer to his dream. As winter ended, Tyson faced a new challenge. The university invited him to a summer program for medical students. It was a great chance to see what his future might be like. That night, Tyson told Nana the news over dinner. He thought about how much his life had changed in less than a year. From struggling to keep up in school, he had become a top student with a bright future. "I'm proud of you," Nana said, squeezing his hand. "You worked hard for this." Tyson smiled, feeling tears come to his eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you, Nana. I am who I am because of you." In their kitchen, Tyson felt at peace. The road ahead would still be hard, but he was ready. He had faced fire and come out stronger. He could handle whatever the future held. Tyson looked towards the horizon, grateful and ready for whatever came next. The change was just the start. The best is yet to come. The summer before Tyson's senior year was both exciting and nerve-wracking. He was excited to go to the summer program for medical students at the university. This was his first step towards becoming Dr. Tyson Jackson. The campus was different from his neighborhood. Green lawns, brick buildings, and labs surrounded him. As Tyson settled into his dorm room, he doubted. Could he really belong here? But Tyson thrived in the program. The lectures were hard, but he tried his best to learn. In the anatomy lab, he studied the human body and made his first incision on a cadaver. Each day brought new things to learn and new ways to know that this was the right path. One evening, Tyson heard a conversation in the library that made him stop. Two other students were talking about what they would do if they didn't get into medical school. "My dad says I can always join the family business if medicine doesn't work out," one of them said. Tyson felt pain. He didn't have a plan B. For him, becoming a doctor was a way to lift himself and Nana out of poverty. He had to succeed. That night, Tyson called Nana. He needed to hear her voice. Nana listened to Tyson's fears and doubts. "Tyson, do you remember what I told you the day you ran into that burning house?" Tyson thought back on the memory. "You said I had a good heart." "That's right," Nana said. "Your good heart, brains, and determination are your backup plan. Those things will always help you." Tyson returned to the program with new energy. He got extra help from professors, stayed late in the labs, and talked with his peers about the future of medicine. As the summer program ended, Tyson got a surprise visitor. Dr. Sarah Peterson stopped by during a break between lectures. "Tyson," she said, "I've been hearing good things about you from the program directors. How are you doing?" Tyson's face lit up as he described what he had learned and experienced that summer. Dr. Peterson nodded. "I'm glad it's been positive. she said when he finished. "I have a proposition for you, Tyson. How would you like to shadow me at the hospital before you leave? You'd get a real taste of what it's like to be a doctor." Tyson was excited. "Really? That would be amazing, Dr. Peterson." The next week, Tyson walked the halls of the city's largest hospital, following Dr. Peterson as she made her rounds. He watched her talk with patients, work with nurses and doctors, and make important decisions. On the last day, Dr. A. Peterson let Tyson watch a hard case, a young boy with a rare genetic disorder. As he watched Dr. Peterson explain the diagnosis and treatment plan to the worried parents, Tyson was struck by her compassion and clarity. This was the kind of doctor he wanted to be, someone who brought hope and understanding to patients and their families. As summer ended, Tyson felt a strong sense of purpose. His experiences had made him more committed to medicine and clearer about his future. Back at school, Tyson worked hard. His teachers noticed a change in him. His academic performance was still strong, but he also seemed more confident. He was confident, asked good questions, and often stayed after class to talk about difficult topics. Ms. Rodriguez pulled him aside after class. "Tyson," she said, "I've never seen a student with as much potential as you. I'd like to write you a letter for college applications. You're going to make an excellent doctor." As Tyson worked on his college applications, he thought about how far he'd come. A year ago, applying to top universities seemed impossible. Now it was possible. One autumn afternoon, Tyson sat at the kitchen table with Nana. They had a stack of completed applications in front of them. "Well," he said, "this is it. Time to send them off." Nana reached across the table and held his hand. "I'm proud of you, Tyson. No matter what happens, I'm proud of you. You've already done so much. This is just the start." Tyson smiled, feeling a lump in his throat. "Thanks, Nana. For everything. I couldn't have done it without you." As they sat in the sun, Tyson felt at peace. The road ahead would still be hard. Medical school was competitive, and becoming a doctor was difficult. He was ready for anything. He saved a life by running into a burning building. He faced his fears, pushed himself, and found strengths he didn't know he had. Tyson knew he could overcome any obstacle. As he finished the last envelope, Tyson felt excited. This was just the start. The next chapter of his life was about to begin. Tyson Jackson looked towards the future, ready to embrace the path that lay ahead. The journey to becoming Dr. Tyson Jackson had truly begun.